Chapter 1919. Before Tang Guo could say anything, Gu Ronghe continued, he has the recipe for making colored glaze. Later, someone found out that the recipe was provided by your cousin, Tang Chong. Oh, I see. Not only that, your cousin also came up with all kinds of wonderful ideas. Some of them seem to be fantastical, but some of them are useful. One of the items should be popular among the people of the Bai family in the country of you. Tang Guo asked curiously, what is it? Soap. Tang Guo was not surprised. Since the glass was made, soap would not be a problem. Speaking of which, Tang Chong had a good memory. Perhaps when she saw the time traveler shining in the novel, she secretly recited the process and recipe of some things that could be made in ancient times. Brother, what is soap? Gu Jusi asked, is it good? How do I use it? Gu Ronghe gave the butler a look. The butler quickly turned around and came back with 2 pieces of soap. Master, this can be used to wash clothes, hair, bathe, and even hands. I heard from the capital that Su Machin will come up with other uses later. He may add some other things to it. Gu Jusi held the soap and asked a lot of questions curiously. In the end, she asked Gu Ronghe for more than half of it and gave it to Tang Guo. Guo, wash your hair with this in the future. Brother, ask someone to keep an eye on it. If there are better things, send someone to get some. After a pause, Gu Jusi said, let Su Machin be for a while. After he gives us all the good things, I'll deal with him. Gu Ronghe was speechless. His younger brother was no longer his younger brother. He only thought about his wife when he had good things. This elder brother of his had been tossed to God knows where long ago. What else could he do but spoil his own younger brother? Tang Guo hoped that Tang Chong would be able to make more useful things. After all, she was a typical peasant and did not want to be so high profile. Now, the embroidery shop was enough to make rouge and face powder. Since Tang Chong had already taken out the glazed soap, she didn't need anything else. In fact, with Su Machin around, he would definitely dig out all the goods in Tang Chong's belly. Some time later, Tang Guo was lying on a deck chair under the grape trellis when she heard familiar footsteps approaching her. She did not need to open her eyes to know that it was Gu Jusi. 9. Gu Jusi stood in front of her, blocking everything. Tang Guo called out to him. He lowered his head and kissed her forehead. He said softly, Guo, I brought you something good. Tang Guo suddenly became energetic. Recently, Tang Chong had made a lot of good things. She had been waiting for them. What good stuff? Guo, it's really good stuff this time. Gu Jusi carried Tang Guo and sat on the recliner, letting her sit on his lap. At this moment, Tang Guo noticed that there was a brocade box in his hand. It was as big as 2 palms. Guo, the good stuff is inside. Gu Jusi's ears turned red as he placed the brocade box in Tang Guo's hand. See for yourself. Tang Guo opened the box. When she saw what was inside, she was slightly stunned. But she still asked, what is this? This is. Female supporting lead, calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people, female supporting lead, calm down. Look, talk about life, find a confidant. Chapter 1920. When the system saw what was in the brocade box, it almost went crazy with laughter. Ha ha ha, Gu Jusi was so cute. She was obviously embarrassed, but she still wanted to give this to Tang Guo. This was for women's menstruation. Gu Jusi whispered that this thing was made based on Tang Chong's idea. Wouldn't it be more convenient for Guo, to look at it? Tang Guo held back her laughter and accepted Gu Jusi's kindness. Later, Tang Chong came up with many little things that were convenient for their daily life. But these things were not as good as the glass and soap. Su Machin used all kinds of methods to try to obtain more good things, but Tang Chong only memorized a little at that time. She only memorized these things on a whim. If she had known that she would transmigrate, she would have tried her best to memorize more useful things. Su Machun looked at Tang Chong and found that he could not get anything out of her, so he became much colder to her. The soap and glass alone were enough to make him shine and win the emperor's favor. Apart from some small things, he gave the soap and glass to the third prince, and the third prince gave them to the emperor. Of course, before that, they spent a lot of time experimenting with these two things. In his opinion, the third prince should be liked by the emperor with these two things. According to the third prince's recent reaction, the emperor treated him well and often summoned him to the palace to play chess. Tang Chong could not get anything out of him, and Su Machun lost his patience. Looking at Tang Chong's infatuated eyes every day, he felt a little nauseous. Finally, he did not have to face this woman every day. Tang Chong soon felt that Su Machun was cold to her. Not only that, Su Machun did not intend to avoid those girls who admired him. He even chatted happily with those girls at the poetry festival. More importantly, the third prince intended to matchmake Su Machun with a girl who was the daughter of a court official. Su Machun did not refuse and even seemed to want to marry her. At this moment, Tang Chong could not stand it. She did not think too much and directly questioned Su Machun why he was meeting those girls and why he wanted to marry the daughter of a court official. More importantly, the third prince said that he wanted to ask the emperor to grant a marriage between Su Machun and the court official's daughter. Wasn't this making her anxious? Su Machun faced Tang Chong and explained, "Chong, I'm the only one left in the marquis residence. At this time, the third prince's great cause has yet to be accomplished. I married the Li family's young miss only because I wanted to rope in more power. I don't really like her. And you, in my heart, are very special. I know you don't want to be a concubine, and I don't plan on taking you as a concubine. As long as you are willing to wait, when the third prince succeeds, I will divorce Miss Li and marry you." Roping in power was true, but as for divorcing Miss Li and marrying Tang Chong, that was just nonsense. If Tang Chong was an older transmigrator, she might be able to understand. But she was still young. She was still in junior high school. As for Su Machun, she only recognized the person she knew. The Su Machun who would do anything for Tang Bai. Among them, Su Machun was also introduced by the third prince, and in the end, he righteously refused for Tang Bai's sake. Thinking of this, Tang Chong was furious. "I don't care. If you want to marry someone, you can only marry me. No one else is allowed to marry you." She had worked so hard for so long, how could she let other women in to enjoy the fruits of her labor? "Su Machun, if you dare to marry another woman, I will make you regret it." X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C, quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down, and X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, peak. Chapter 1921. Chong, I hope you can understand me. Su Machun looked at Tang Chong's angry face and her current reputation. It was indeed different from before. She was an ant that could be crushed at any time. In fact, it was easy to kill Tang Chong unknowingly, but it would take a little effort. But he didn't want to take the risk. There were still many uses for Tang Chong. First, he wasn't sure if Tang Chong still had those strange things that were useful to him. Second, on the surface, he valued Tang Chong very much. If everyone saw that he liked Tang Chong, the enemy would think that Tang Chong was his weakness. Exposing this weakness on the surface to confuse the enemy might be of great use in the future. Thinking of this, Su Machun reflected in his heart. Recently, he was indeed too cold to Tang Chong. If someone heard the news, it wouldn't be good. Chung, I really have no choice but to marry Miss Li. The person I support is the third prince. If I don't listen to him, I won't be able to gain his trust. Looking at Tang Chong's confused look, Su Machun continued, you know that I have a deep blood feud. Only with the help of the third prince can I take revenge and kill the person who framed my sister and mother. Tang Chong of course understood this. But she still couldn't accept that Su Machun would marry Miss Li for this. In the novel, Su Machun would compromise to this extent. In the novel, Su Machun only had eyes for Tang Bai. Through this comparison, Tang Chong felt uncomfortable. Actually, I don't have to marry Miss Li, Su Machun sighed, the third prince is actually very afraid of me. It's all because of the things Chung took out. He gave me two choices. Either I marry Miss Li or I send you to his house. Tang Chong was stunned. Was there such a thing? She had always been comparing herself with the novel. In fact, this world had developed to this point and had long been separated. Everything was already confusing. It wasn't the plot she was familiar with at all. The reason why Tang Chong and Su Machun had such a deep affection for each other was because of the hardships they had gone through together during their escape. After she and Su Machun left, Su Machun had been preparing his troops for a long time. He had long confused the enemy and smoothly returned to the capital. With her advice, he was able to clear his name. Actually, there wasn't anything profound between the two of them. Tang Chong couldn't help but suspect that Su Machun's love for her couldn't compare to his love for Tang Bai. Do you really like me? For the first time, Tang Chong asked this question. Su Machun's face was full of smiles and affection. Of course I like you. Chung, if I didn't like you, why would I discuss these things with you? You've already handed over everything you know. If I was really a greedy person and you were useless to me, I would have kicked you away long ago. Why would I be so careful to talk to you about these things? Tang Chong reluctantly believed Su Machun's words. Then after you marry Miss Li, how will you treat her and me? I'll let Miss Li live alone in a courtyard and treat you the same as before. She's just an invisible person. You don't have to care about her. Before this, Su Machun had already thought about how to make the most of Tang Chong. Vertex. Chapter 1922. Before, he really didn't think it through and treated Tang Chong coldly. It was mainly because her eyes were too infatuated, making him uncomfortable. Since he was young, he had met countless women who looked at him with such infatuated eyes. To be able to tolerate Tang Chong for so long, he was really reaching his limit. Before, Tang Chong could continuously take out good things, so he could still let her do whatever she wanted. Now that she couldn't take out the things, he lost his patience. But now, he had a new idea. He didn't care about that Miss Li at all. If he really didn't want to marry Miss Li, the third prince would never offend him and force him. After marrying Miss Li, he would instead treat Tang Chong well, letting everyone in the capital know that the person in the palm of his hand was Tang Chong. With this exposed weakness, he didn't know if his enemy would be happy. So, you married the Li family's young miss just to treat her as a decoration and put her in the mansion? Tang Chong asked in confusion. Su Machun nodded, yes. He looked at Tang Chong affectionately, holding her face and kissing it, because in my heart, there is only Chung, no one can come between us. Is Chung, still so unhappy now? Being hugged by Su Machun, Tang Chong felt confused for the first time. Although she liked her male god very much, before she transmigrated, she dreamed of being hugged by her male god. She felt sorry for him and hoped that by his side, she would be the one to encourage him and help him. But just now, she found that Su Machun was a little different from the male god she thought he was. The infatuation she thought he had, didn't seem to be with her. The shining points she used to like, seemed to be slowly disappearing. Su Machun said that after marrying Miss Li, he put her in the palace as a decoration, and the person he really liked was her, Tang Chong. So if the one he liked was her, why did he marry Miss Li? After marrying Miss Li, he put her in the palace as a decoration, ignoring others. He obviously didn't like her, but still wanted to marry her. Wasn't this scum? Mo, do you have a grudge against Miss Li? Tang Chong suddenly asked. Su Machen was a little stunned and asked, no, her father is the third prince's man. Chong, do you still mind? Does Miss Li agree to marry you? The third prince has already reported this matter to the emperor. It is possible that the imperial edict for the marriage will be issued soon. In front of the imperial edict, Miss Li will not object. Does she like you? If she doesn't like you, wouldn't she be forcing someone else? Su Machen thought that Tang Chong was really naive and ridiculous. As a woman of this vortex, wasn't she supposed to be used for marriage? Since they were young, they had lived a life of luxury. Now was the time to use them. Whether they were willing or not, whether they liked it or not, they had no right to object. Did Tang Chong really think that she could be with whoever she liked? He didn't know where she got those things in her head, but they definitely didn't belong to her. How could someone as naive as her come up with something like this? At first, he suspected Tang Guo's family. But later, he thought that if Tang Guo really had those things, she would have already given them to the emperor since she was already the little prince's wife. How could Tang Chong have a chance? Chong, you have to believe me. Even if Miss Li marries in, you are still the most powerful person in the manor. She can't provoke you. Su Machen said. He still had things to deal with, so he let go of Tang Chong and left. The Peak. Chapter 1923. Guo, what are you looking at? Gu Jusi walked in and saw Tang Guo flipping through something. It seemed to be a letter. Is it from the capital? It's a letter from second uncle. The third prince asked second brother to grant a marriage between Su Machen and Miss Li. Second uncle wrote back that Su Machen and Miss Li are married. Gu Jusi was surprised. Then second uncle is bringing cousin back? No, second uncle complained that Shangxiang is still unwilling to leave. He said that Su Machen marrying Miss Li is just a decoration. She is still the most important person in the Marquis's residence. Gu Jusi did not understand. If Su Machen really likes cousin, he wouldn't have married Miss Li. What is your cousin thinking all day? If a man really likes a woman, he can't bear to let her suffer in any way. As he spoke, Gu Jusi hugged Tang Guo's waist and said shamelessly, for example, Gu Jusi, really like Guo. I can't bear for Guo to suffer a little. From the day I fell in love with you, I haven't looked at other girls. What a Ju means is that before you fell in love with me, you looked at other girls. Gu Jusi was speechless. Just like how a horse stumbles, people make mistakes. How could he say the wrong thing? No, Guo, listen to me. In the past, I didn't know what a girl was. When second brother and big brother forced me to look at the portrait, I wanted to be a monk. Since I saw Guo, I know what a girl is. What I mean is, because I like Guo, no matter what girl floats in front of me, I can't see her. Alright, a Ju, you don't have to explain. Gu Jusi heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that Tang Guo believed him. What the hell? Didn't he just say something wrong? Why was his heart so nervous that it was about to jump out? He was afraid that she would be angry. In his mind, he even wondered if she would throw him away if she got angry. How strange. Then how is it now? Gu Jusi asked again. Tang Guo said, Su Machen is indeed like what Tang Chong said. Even when he married Miss Li, he didn't go to see her on the wedding night. He has always been with Tang Chong. I don't know why, but the entire capital knows about this. Right now, everyone in the capital is talking about it. While laughing at Miss Li, she also said that Tang Chong was a charming vixen. In short, none of them were good words. Second uncle almost fell ill from anger because of this. Third brother went to see second uncle. Compared to before, second uncle looked a lot older. The whole city knows about it. Gu Jusi narrowed her eyes. I'm afraid this matter isn't simple. Now that they are in a whirlpool, if Su Machin really cares about his cousin, why would he expose her to everyone, let everyone talk about her, and dote on her in such a high-profile way? Second uncle actually thought of it and told Shangxiang about it, but she refused to listen. Gu Jusi asked softly, "Do you need my help? Or should I ask second brother to help?" "There's no need. How can I let you do such a thing? If he did it, wouldn't he be helping them out of their predicament? Xiangxiang is so stubborn. What can we do? I already asked third brother to take care of second uncle. As for Xiangxiang, she can do whatever she wants." Gu Jusi understood Tang Guo's attitude, so she didn't say anything else. Even if his second brother was the emperor, there was no way to stop a woman from loving a man. If it wasn't for Tang Guo, he wouldn't have wanted to meddle in other people's business. No matter what happened to Tang Chong, she only had herself to blame. It was just that second uncle was so pitiful. He was already so old, but he still had to worry about her every day. Peak. Chapter 1924. Then I'll tell Big Brother to get someone to watch over her. If there's really no other choice, he'll save cousin's life so that second uncle won't be sad. How about that? Although he did not care about Tang Chong's life and death, his did not seem to care much either. However, still seemed to care about second uncle. Other than loving money and occasionally being a little crafty, second uncle was actually very good to his own people. If Tang Chong's life was saved, it could be considered a comfort to him so that he would not be so sad. "Aju, you really understand me." Gu Jusi's heart warmed. "I want to understand better. I can't wait to be a roundworm in stomach. A roundworm is so ugly. Aju, have you forgotten that I like good-looking people? Then I won't be a roundworm. He would just be a good-looking one. Should he ask the imperial physician for some prescription to maintain his youthful appearance? If he grew old and was not liked by wouldn't he cry himself to death? We've been married for so long. When can I bring you to see second brother? Second brother also wants to see you." Gu Jusi could feel that Tang Guo did not want to go to the capital. Therefore, he had not mentioned it all along. However, after so long, Big Brother had settled down in the family Tang village. Second brother had written to him several times to ask him to bring Tang Guo back to take a look. He said that he would definitely not let his imagination run wild and would not send people to investigate Tang Guo. The letter said that he was pitiful. He said that he was already in such a miserable state as the emperor, but his younger brother still did not bring his sister-in-law back to see him. He was alone and was really lonely. Although it was not that exaggerated, Gu Jusi still wanted to go back and take a look. Second brother was more suspicious and liked to let his imagination run wild. There was no other way. He was the emperor. Ever since he was born and could think about problems, his brain was turning every day, thinking about how to protect his life and seek benefits for his side. This had already become a habit. If he did not think about it a day, he might die tomorrow. It was said that at that time, Big Brother, Second Brother, and Imperial Mother were surrounded by spies from the various palaces. Poisoning was very common. If he said the slightest wrong word, he could be used as an excuse. Therefore, his second brother liked to investigate everything in various ways. He would only be at ease when he found out the truth. This was also the reason why he had never brought Tang Guo home. He was afraid that his second brother would scare her. Now that second brother had said it so many times, it should be true. He wouldn't investigate Tang Guo anymore. He knew in his heart that Guo was very mysterious. He was different from the rest of the family Tang Club members. But he didn't pursue the matter. It was meaningless. He only cared about this person. Anytime, Tang Guo replied with a smile. "Do you need to be so polite when meeting your second brother? In the future, Aju can tell me about such things." It's only right that I visit second brother from time to time. That day, Gu Jusi was very happy. 10 days later, the two set off for the capital. The two of them rode in the same carriage. The housekeeper didn't follow, but Lin Yen did. Tang Bai was also brought along by Tang Gua. Tang Bai refused at first, but Tang Gua said that she wanted to broaden her horizons. She couldn't refuse, so she agreed. Tang Bai's current skills were already very good. In order to practice martial arts, she basked in the sun every day and became much darker. In addition to the carriage, they also pulled many items produced by the embroidery shop. They were all for the emperor. Most of them were cloth and some rouge and powder embroidered handkerchiefs. When they stepped into the capital again, Tang Bai looked at the bustling city and was a little stunned. The peak. Chapter 1925. After sitting in the carriage for so many days, Tang Bai's face, which had been tanned with great difficulty, had become rosy again. The little girl was so tender that she attracted people's attention at first glance. She only had to lift the curtain of the carriage to attract people outside. Tang Bai reacted and quickly put the carriage down. When they arrived at Gu Jusi's house, they settled Tang Bai inside and asked Lin Yen to take care of her. Tang Gua and Gu Jusi took the goods to the palace to see the emperor. Because of the medical books that Tang Gua gave him, the emperor looked very energetic. However, his face was still a little pale. At that moment, Tang Gua seemed to have noticed something. System, Tang Gua, just pretend that you didn't see it, lest he thinks too much. Of course, the emperor didn't put on any rouge or powder. It should be made by the imperial physician. When he saw Tang Gua, he subconsciously showed a thoughtful expression. He wanted to find out what was going on. Then, Gu Jusi said, "Second brother, I'm here to see you." Then, the emperor hurriedly put away his thoughtful expression and coughed lightly. "Little Jiu, you finally came back with your princess consort." "Yes, I didn't come back to see second brother. It's my fault." Gua prepared many gifts for second brother. When the emperor heard about the gifts, he became energetic. When he saw the exquisite cloth, he smiled. He was also very satisfied with the rouge, powder, and embroidered handkerchiefs. He had many beauties in his harem. They would be very happy to give these to them. He would never mistreat obedient beauties. As long as they were obedient, he would take pity on them. Perhaps it was because of his experience. As long as they didn't have bad intentions and wanted to sway him, he was very good to them. Even if he didn't have any extra feelings, he wouldn't mistreat them. The emperor and Gu Jusi ate. Of course, in the middle of the meal, there were many times when his gaze fell on Tang Gua and he showed a thoughtful expression. Then, he would be interrupted by Gu Jusi, which made him smile awkwardly. Tang Gua pretended that she didn't know anything. Tang Chongqing was also called in by the emperor. This meal was quite pleasant. Being with the emperor was indeed not as comfortable as being with Gu Ronghe. Before leaving the imperial palace, the emperor bestowed many good things to Tang Gua. He also told her to take good care of Gu Jusi and not bully him. Tang Gua. Second brother Zhen, did he really think that his younger brother was going to marry her? Alright, you could say that. After the two of them left, the emperor subconsciously shouted, "Guards! Your Majesty, what are your orders?" The emperor said, "You, go and investigate." At this point, the emperor paused and patted his forehead in annoyance. "Go back. It's fine now." He almost ordered his men to investigate Tang Gua's background. "I really don't want to go out," Tang Bai said. Lin Yen frowned. "No, Madam told me to take you out for a walk and buy things for you." Tang Bai, let's go. I'll carry out Madam's orders. You can shop for as long as you want. You can buy whatever you want. I'll carry it for you. Tang Bai was a little helpless. These were also orders from Big Sister? Yes. Lin Yen nodded very seriously. Peak. Chapter 1926. Master said that if I don't follow Madam's instructions, I will be driven back to the mountain. Miss Bai, please don't make things difficult for me. He really didn't want to go back to the mountain. His martial arts were already better than his master's. There was no point in practicing hard on the mountain every day. When he went down the mountain, he even beat up all his fellow disciples. If he went back, they would definitely take revenge on him from time to time. Maybe there was no hot water for bathing, the steamed buns were rotten, the tea leaves were always from the year before, and the quilt must be wet. He didn't want to live that kind of life. Thinking about it made him shiver. Tang Bai finally agreed to go shopping in the capital. She really didn't understand why her sister would give Lin Yan such a task when she entered the palace. She didn't know how many times she had strolled around the capital. She didn't yearn for the prosperity here at all. If possible, she hoped that she would never step into this place for the rest of her life. Aren't you going to buy anything? After shopping for a long time, Lin Yan couldn't help but ask. He was already prepared to carry a lot of things in a while. Every time the young ladies of the capital went shopping, their maids and attendants would carry big and small bags. I didn't see anything that I like. Tang Bai found an excuse. These things were dazzling and didn't meet her eyes. After a while, Tang Bai took a fancy to some beautiful jewelry and said, "Sis will definitely like these. Buy more for her." Now that she has money, if she sees something suitable for Tanggua, she will buy it with all her might. Unfortunately, the embroidery shop had countless of such things, so she didn't need to do it. Then she could only buy some pearl jewelry for her sister. "I think that pair of jade earrings suits you better. And that one with a little green pearl flower also suits you," Lin Yan commented. He didn't mean anything else, he just thought that those two things suited Tang Bai. Tang Bai paused and glanced at the things Lin Yan said, "I don't like to wear these things." Lin Yan looked at Tang Bai and saw that she was indeed dressed very simply. Her hair was held up with a hairpin. The color of her clothes was also very light. He didn't say anything else, but his eyes were always on the pearl flower and earrings. He felt that these two things suited her very well. When Tang Bai finished shopping and was about to leave, Lin Yan suddenly said, "I want these too." Tang Bai looked back and found that Lin Yan actually bought the pearl hair clip and earrings that he mentioned before. She smiled and said, "You're a big man, what are you buying this for?" She didn't expect that Lin Yan would actually stuff something into her arms. This shocked Tang Bai. "What are you doing?" "It's nothing. I just think it suits Miss Bai." Tang Bai didn't accept it. How could she dare to accept such a sudden gift? She observed Lin Yan carefully and found that his expression did not change. She asked hesitantly, "You gave it to me because it suits me?" "Yeah, or else?" Lin Yan said seriously. "Do you need any other reason?" Anyway, he had a lot of money. The money that his master gave him was really a lot. He really couldn't find a place to spend it. Tang Bai breathed a sigh of relief, "Thank you, but don't be like this in the future. I can't possibly buy everything that suits me, right?" Lin Yan responded faintly. He suddenly felt that it was not a big deal to buy everything that was suitable. Vertex. Chapter 1927. Not long after Tang Bai and Lin Yan walked back, they bumped into Tang Chong, who was strolling outside. Tang Chong saw her first and rushed over with her people. Her originally gloomy expression turned into a smile. Bai, why are you in the capital? Is Sister Gua here too?" "My father should have told you that I'm here. Why didn't you come to find me?" Tang Bai was a little overwhelmed by Tang Chong's enthusiasm. After a while, she said, "I just arrived today. Sister Changxiang, I heard about your situation. Are you okay?" Tang Chong paused and said, "I'm fine. I'm fine. Come, let's go to the Marquis's residence to talk. Where are you staying now? Do you want to go to my place?" Tang Bai did not dare to go to the Marquis's residence. She quickly said, I have a place to stay. Sister has already arranged it. If you want to talk, let's find another place. It's not convenient to go to the Marquis's residence. Tang Chong did not force her. In fact, she also felt that it was not convenient to go to the Marquis's residence. Even if Su Machin doted on her so much, the Marquis's residence was hers. She had the final say. The young lady of the Li family had been neglected since her wedding night. She was placed in the most remote courtyard, and Su Machin had not even taken a look at her. He doted on her so much, but why was she not happy? The two held hands and talked, planning to find a tea house. Before they could take 2 steps, they were stopped by someone. It was Tanggua and Gu Jusi who came out of the palace. Tanggua was helped down from the carriage by Gu Jusi and came to the two. Sister Gua, When Tang Chong saw Tanggua, she was very happy. Coincidentally, we met. Let's go to the tea house and talk. I won't invite you to the Marquis's residence. After thinking about it, Tang Chong still felt that it was better not to involve these two. Look at now, they were not involved with Su Machin. Their lives were really good. Sister Gua, was looking for a son-in-law. He was good-looking and obedient. She also had the family Tang village's huge embroidery shop. Tang Chong didn't have to suffer with Su Machin, run around, and be entangled in love and hate. Although she didn't know many things, she knew that the Marquis's estate was currently in a whirlpool. If she really brought these two people back, they might be targeted and put in danger. In the end, Gu Jusi chose a tea house. This tea house was under Gu Rongha's name, so it was trustworthy. In the private room, Tang Bai couldn't help but ask, Sister Changxiang, now that Su Machin has married someone else, why don't you leave him? I heard that second uncle even fell ill because of this. He said that he didn't like Miss Li. After Miss Li entered, she was arranged to stay in a remote courtyard. Mo hasn't seen her even once. I believe he doesn't like Miss Li, and as you can see, Tang Chong waved her hand. Everything she had was given to her by Su Machin. No matter who she was in front of, she was the most important. You should have heard that he dotes on me very much. Tang Bai was at a loss for words, not knowing what to say. Since he dotes on you and loves you, why did he marry Miss Li? Tang Bai asked. Tang Chong lowered her head slightly. He said that he had no choice. In that position, he had to compromise. If he didn't marry Miss Li, there would be a gap between him and the third prince. He also said that he could either marry Miss Li or send me to the third prince's residence. In the end, he chose to marry Miss Li, the peak. Chapter 1928. He also said that when everything is done, he will divorce Miss Li and marry me. Tang Chong said in a daze. Her eyes were no longer as bright as before, as if there was a layer of mist covering her beautiful eyes. Tang Bai pursed her lips. Would she believe such words? Even if she hated Su Machin, she had to admit that in her previous life, Su Machin was indeed very affectionate towards her. But this deep affection was not normal. It was Su Machin who felt guilty towards her. She had silently accompanied them through all the hardships they had gone through together, and she was the most important person in his life. There were too many things contained in this heavy and affectionate love. And Tang Chong and Su Machin, Tang Chong did not hesitate to give. There were too many women like her by Su Machin's side. Even if Tang Chong was different, the things she took out made her gasp. It was hard to change that Su Machin thought that these things were within reach and did not cherish them. She knew Su Machin too well. The harder it was to get something, the more he wanted it. The easier it was to lose, the more he watched over it. But she could not say these things. Even now, with her identity as a sister, no one would hurt her. It was fine if there was an abnormal Tang Chong, but if there was another her, it would inevitably attract the attention of people with bad intentions. Who knew what kind of terrible misfortune it would bring? Chong, I won't advise you on anything else. Go visit your second uncle often, he is very worried about you. Originally, your second uncle had a dream of becoming rich, but because of you, he had to stop. Tang Cheng felt a little guilty. I will. To be honest, this cheap father of hers was really good to her. I will. I will go visit my father every day from now on. I won't anger him anymore. To be honest, after transmigrating for so many years, she was starting to miss her previous home. Although her parents did not come back often, they would still call her every day. Even if they did not see her, they would still care about her. And her group of girls who played with Lolita, she did not know how they were doing now. She did not know how she transmigrated and what happened before. She was starting to miss the little dresses that she had bought. If she had already died in that world, her parents would definitely be heartbroken. They would definitely burn those little dresses of hers. Thinking about it, it was a little painful. Would those young ladies feel sorry for her? Would her rival, who was arguing with her idol, be happy to find out that she was dead? Her deskmate would heave a sigh of relief from time to time. No one would recommend the male lead of the same book to her anymore. Sister Gua, bye, don't worry about me. I'm fine now. Mo treats me very well. I believe in him. After all, he was the Prince Charming that she had liked for so many years. Prince Charming was always perfect, wasn't he? She didn't know when she would wake up from this dream. Even if he would wake up in the future, she didn't know what the outcome would be. She wanted to wait until the end to take a look. Seeing Tang Cheng like this, Tang Bai stopped trying to persuade her. The three sisters chatted for a while and then left. Before leaving, Tang Cheng asked, Sister Gua, will you be staying in the capital for a while? I will. I'll go there later. Oh. Tang Cheng didn't say that she would look for them when she was free. It was better not to look for him. To them, Su Machen was trouble. Right now, all parties were staring at the house of Marquis Vertex. Chapter 1929. Tang Bai was not happy all day. Lin Yan had been ordered by Tang Gua to protect her and accompany her. So when he saw her unhappy, he racked his brains and thought of many ways to take her out to play. Every time, Tang Bai did not want to go out because she did not want to meet Su Machen. She did not expect Lin Yan to say with a distressed face that if she did not agree, Gu Jusi would chase him back to the mountain and beat him up. Tang Bai was soft-hearted and agreed. Lin Yan was indeed a blockhead, but after Tang Bai went out with him, she was in a much better mood. Later, when Lin Yan took her out, she did not object. Instead, she asked him excitedly where they were going today. Lin Yan saw that Tang Bai was happy and unconsciously felt happy too. Tang Gua and Gu Jusi's days were even simpler. Every few days, the emperor would invite them to the palace to play. Although the emperor's gaze was always strange, Tang Gua was already used to it. With Gu Jusi around, the emperor would often smile awkwardly. Later on, perhaps because they got familiar with each other, they really became like a family. The way he looked at Tang Gua was also not so deep. However, when they chatted, there would always be some awkward things happening. For example, now, the chief steward whispered to the emperor, Your Majesty, the imperial physician routinely took the pulse of the imperial concubines this morning. Concubine Chen, Concubine Su, and Concubine Yun are all pregnant. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Congratulations, Your Majesty. You have another dragon heir. Tang Gua, Gu Jusi, System, Concubine Chen, Concubine Su, and Concubine Yun are all pregnant. The emperor was not particularly happy or unhappy. Instead, he asked in surprise, So many? The chief steward's mouth twitched. His Majesty was a person who took pity on the imperial concubines. When his body recovered, he would be fair to the obedient imperial concubines. When His Majesty recovered, there was no way to avoid this. Wasn't it normal for the imperial concubines to be pregnant? Why was His Majesty so surprised? It was as if he did not do it. Your Majesty, the little prince and the little princess are watching. Is this really okay? Oh, that's really a very happy thing. Reward them well. Gu Jusi secretly squeezed Tangua's little hand and congratulated him with a smile. Second brother, congratulations. I have a little nephew again. The emperor was a little embarrassed and casually asked, what about you, little nine? You've been married for so long? Second brother, aren't Gua and I still young? I think it's good to have only two people. To be honest, if the emperor hadn't mentioned it, he really wouldn't have thought about it. When he was asked, he subconsciously didn't want any children. He didn't want any of them. When he thought of those women who had children and had their hearts set on their children, his heart was filled with jealousy. Thinking about his father and mother, they must have been very loving back then. But in front of the brothers, Imperial Mother really didn't like Imperial Father that much. If he had a child and Gua treated him like that, he would be tortured to death. Gu Jusi's heart was in a mess. She held Tangua's hand and left. She did not notice the emperor's conflicted expression behind her as he wondered which concubine he should visit first. Adieu? Tangua reached out and touched Gu Jusi's forehead. What's the matter? Why are you frowning? Gu Jusi held Tangua's hand. Gua do you like children? If Gua liked them, what should he do? He couldn't force Gua not to like them, right? Why were there still children in this world? The Peak. Chapter 1930. Adieu, why are you asking this? Tangua pursed her lips and smiled. How many restrictions had this guy placed on her? She did not believe that men in ancient times were born with such thoughts. Even in modern society, which was more open-minded, most men still wanted to have a child. The thought of carrying on the family line was ingrained in their bones, and it was impossible to erase it. Even if they did not have such thoughts, there were still many men who wanted to be a father. When it fell to this guy, he refused and even said that the child was a third party. It was true that she did not have any thoughts about children. It was not because her soul was too strong and she could not bear children because she lived in this body. It was because she did not have such thoughts. It was not easy to have someone who could make her feel love. Trying to make her feel a bit of motherly love was simply a fantasy. If he was not ruthless, how could he woo the great host? The system could not help but speak up. Host, this guy should know that your soul is special and cannot bear a bloodline in the small world. That way, after meeting you in the small world and getting married, I wouldn't put a restriction on myself for the sake of having a child. Tangua smiled. I know. He's ruthless enough. As for what he placed, I think it's most likely that once he has the thought of having a child, he will think that he will fall out of favor. He will think that the child is a third party between him and the great host and will destroy your relationship. He will think that the great host will never see him again after having a child. Ah, so sour. Tangua could not stop smiling. You don't seem to dislike him that much anymore. Because he is very sincere to the great host. And from his behavior, even if there is a story between the two of you, I don't think he will be the one who will really hurt the great host. Tangua was silent for a moment. I don't know. Let's talk about it in the future. He is obedient now and can be accepted. System, you scumbag. You don't want him if he is not obedient, right? Gu Jusi said with some grievance, Gua, when I heard second brother mention the issue of children, I thought about it. I can't accept that there will be a child snatching you away from me in the future. System, ha ha ha. The life I yearn for is just you and me. When I think of a boy or girl snatching you away from me, I feel unhappy. Tangua held back her laughter when she saw Gu Jusi's sad expression. If Gua really likes children, I can only convince myself and slowly accept it. Who asked Gua to like him? These words were really heart-wrenching. Adieu. Tanguo wrapped her arms around Gu Jussi's waist and said in a low voice, I think the same as you. We don't need another person between us. You and I are enough for our world. Gu Jussi no longer felt wronged. The jar of vinegar that he had knocked over earlier seemed to have been an illusion. He hugged Tanguo tightly and asked, Really? Yes, Tanguo replied and looked at him with a smile. Isn't it good for us to be like this? Gu Jussi paused. She held Tanguo's hands and murmured, Let's hold your hands and grow old together. You have me, and I have you. That's enough. Gu Jussi's heart was about to burst with laughter. As expected, Guo was a part of his heart. She understood him the most. Gu Jussi was actually a very greedy person. However, there was something strange in his soul that always reminded him not to be greedy. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, hurry up and change to a female supporting character. Calm down. Look, chat about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1931. Every time he wanted to fight for more for himself, the coldness that came from the depths of his soul made him not dare to say a word. After being married to Tanguo for so long, he had found a way to tactfully express his thoughts through probing step by step without touching that terrifying feeling. Guo, thank you for meeting you in this life. Otherwise, I would have to leave home and become a monk. I hope that we can meet again in the next life because only you can save me. After Gu Jussi said this, he did not feel the coldness. His heart relaxed a little. Asking for a next life was not too greedy. If that feeling was not so terrifying, he would have asked for a lifetime. In this life, he would ask for the next life. In the next life, he would ask for the next life. In the next life, he would ask for the next life. This plan was really perfect. Then be good and don't look at other girls. If you look at other girls, I won't be with you. Don't worry. In this world, other than Guo, who is a beautiful girl, everyone else is like a block of wood. I have face blindness and can't tell who is who. System, awesome, this guy. Gu Jussi was satisfied. Recently, he was full of smiles whenever he met anyone. Lin Yen was a little unhappy and very distressed. When he did not accompany Tang Bai to tour the capital, he usually stayed at Gu Jussi's side and watched him fiddle with the little things that he had given Tang Guo. Ever since he met Madame, his master seemed to have become omnipotent and could do anything. For example, Tang Guo had mentioned playing on a swing under the grape trellis. The next day, there was an extra swing in the house. Lin Yen stood at the side and watched Gu Jussi push Tang Guo to play. The two of them were playing happily. Originally, Lin Yen did not feel anything when he saw all this. But today, he felt that something was wrong. Big brother Lin, don't you feel hot standing under the sun? Tang Bai came out of the house with a teapot. Let's go to a cool place. I just made some herbal tea. Do you want to drink some? Lin Yen did not hesitate and followed Tang Bai into the house. He did not forget to answer the previous question. Not hot. Tang Bai handed him a clean handkerchief. Help me wipe it off. You're sweating. Lin Yen looked at the handkerchief in his hand and froze for a moment. When Tang Bai turned around, he used his sleeve to wipe off the sweat on his forehead. As for the handkerchief, he had already hidden it in his bosom. As he recalled this action, his entire body stiffened. What was wrong with him? When Tang Bai turned around and poured him a cup of cold tea, his eyes couldn't move away from this woman's body. Whenever he saw her, his blood would flow faster. It was a feeling that he was about to go crazy. When Tang Bai disappeared from his sight, the feeling disappeared. But as long as he thought of Tang Bai's appearance in his mind, he felt like he was going to go crazy. Master, we need to make a trip back to the mountain. One morning, Lin Yen took advantage of Gu Jussi's free time to look for him. It's only for 2 days. I'll be back soon. Gu Jussi was surprised. Did something happen? I suspect that there's something wrong with my practice, Lin Yan said seriously. I've been looking for a problem for several days, but I can't find anything. Although my martial arts are better than my master has lived for so many years and has seen so much. I'll have to go back and ask him about this matter. Gu Jusi smiled. Your senior and junior brothers will definitely welcome you. Peak. Chapter 1932. During breakfast, Tang Bai saw that Lin Yan was not around and asked, "Brother-in-law, where's big brother Lin?" He went back to the mountain to find his master. Gu Jusi answered casually and fed Tang Gua a spoonful of porridge from time to time. Tang Bai was already used to it. Seeing her sister so happy, she felt happy from the bottom of her heart. Her sister deserved to live like this. A good woman like her should be matched with a good man like her brother-in-law. Is there something urgent? Tang Bai asked with concern. She was a little afraid when she came to the capital. Later, she was dragged out to go shopping by that blockhead Lin Yan. Although she did not meet Su Machin, she met many people she knew in her previous life. It was not that scary. In addition, she had Lin Yan by her side. His martial arts skills were superb, which gave her courage. Thus, she was very grateful to this mentor. Even if he was a little blockhead, he was a good person. When she heard that he had something to do, it was inevitable that she would ask more. He said that something went wrong in his practice and he could not find the reason. He wanted to ask his master. Lin Yan's status was not low. He was the disciple of a hidden master and had superb martial arts skills. He would be invited as a guest by the capital's prince. Why did he insist on following him? This led to the fact that when Lin Yan went down the mountain for the first time, he was tricked and almost sold. Although he would be rescued in the end, he met the meddlesome Gu Jusi, who saved the cold-faced child sitting in the carriage. From then on, Lin Yan recognized Gu Jusi and said that he would protect him. Later, Lin Yan's master came and took Lin Yan back. Later, he wanted to go out. His second brother and eldest brother were worried. Because of Lin Yan's master, they made a request. They hoped that there would be a master willing to protect Gu Jusi. They took Gu Jusi up the mountain. The masters on the mountain looked like masters, but in reality, they wanted to come down to play. However, their master was stingy. If they went down the mountain to play, they would not be able to enjoy themselves. They would have to work hard to earn money. Now that they became the little prince's guards, although they did not have as much freedom, they would not be mistreated. Lin Yan's fellow apprentices were all fighting to be his bodyguards. Lin Yan was not interested at first, but when he saw Gu Jusi, he suddenly jumped out. He said that he would accept the job. Originally, the emperor and Gu Rongha had proposed 20 years, but Lin Yan said that as long as Gu Jusi needed it, he would protect him forever. The emperor and Gu Rongha, however, were delighted. This was the disciple that the master was most proud of. However, Lin Yan's seniors and juniors refused to comply. In the end, as mentioned before, Lin Yan single-handedly defeated all his seniors and juniors. In order to avoid being stopped by his own master, he even defeated his own master. In the end, he stood expressionlessly beside Gu Jusi and said, "From now on, I am the little prince's guard." At that time, Lin Yan was much colder than he was now. Is it serious? Tang Bai was a little anxious when she heard that Lin Yan had made a mistake in his practice. Gu Jusi said vaguely, "It shouldn't be serious." In fact, he didn't notice anything wrong with Lin Yan's practice. However, Lin Yan's kung fu was rarely matched by anyone in the world. It would be better to go back and ask that expert. While Tang Bai was worried, Lin Yan returned 2 days later. "Big brother Lin, I heard that something happened during your practice. Has it been resolved?" When Lin Yan saw Tang Bai's flushed face and the anxious look in her eyes, a smile unconsciously appeared on his lips. He quickly hid it. "It's resolved." "That's good. Do you want to go shopping? Is there anything you want to buy?" Tang Bai shook her head. There's nothing to buy. Then let's go take a look. Maybe you'll want to buy something. You didn't go out these 2 days, right? I think so. Then let's go. Okay. My third nephew and seventh nephew have been fighting fiercely recently. It might have already involved my cousin. Seventh nephew wants to use her to threaten Su Machin, but he doesn't know that Su Machin deliberately exposed this weakness to catch evidence. So soon? Gu Jusi said, yes. Don't worry. I've already arranged for someone to save her life. It's all thanks to a Jew. It's who gave me this opportunity. By the way, a Jew, I found that Lin Yen was a little strange after he came back. Why did he take by shopping for nothing and buy a bunch of things for her? Gu Jusi burst into laughter. He must be enlightened. Bai doesn't seem to have that kind of feeling for Lin Yen at the moment. Gu Jusi lazily hugged Tang Gua and the two leaned against each other. Lin Yen is stubborn. As long as Bai doesn't like anyone, he can accompany her to buy things for the rest of her life. What if Bai has someone she likes? He might find out something bad about that person for Bai to see. Tang Gua, he learned it from you? Gu Jusi, he won't take the blame. Peak. Chapter 1933. Big Brother Lin, I saw you holding the wine just now. Are you injured? Tang Bai looked at Lin Yen with concern, but she didn't show anything on her face. There were only a few people living in the house. Brother-in-law and sister were always lovey-dovey in the house, so it was impossible for them to be injured. Previously, she had inadvertently seen Lin Yen walking towards her room with the wine in his hand. It wasn't good to stop him, so she forgot about it. When the two of them were shopping, she remembered this matter. It's nothing, don't worry. Lin Yen said expressionlessly. It was just that when he returned to the mountain, he wanted to ask if something had happened to him. It wasn't good to beat up his senior and junior brothers again, but he didn't expect them to be so impolite and find an opportunity to hit him. They even said that they wouldn't hit him in the face because they were from the same sect, so that he wouldn't look bad when he went out. After much difficulty, he finally managed to get past his senior and junior brothers. He went to ask his master about what had happened to him. After talking about his situation, he felt that his master's expression was a little strange. At that time, he thought it was something serious. He looked at his master seriously, stroking his long beard, and said to him seriously, Lin Yen, your problem is a little serious. It's indeed a rare problem in cultivation. At that time, he asked very anxiously, Master, is there a solution? His master nodded, there is. Although I haven't encountered it, I've heard of it and know how to solve it. Master, please enlighten me. At that time, Lin Yen sincerely asked his master for advice. He never thought that his master would lie to him. But he forgot that when he followed the little prince down the mountain and became his guard, he beat up his master in front of the entire sect. He didn't give him any face at all. Although his master was an expert, he was still a human and cared about his face. He was humiliated by his disciple, so he would definitely bear a grudge. Sooner or later, he would get back at him. For this matter, only I can help you unblock your meridians. At that time, his master's expression was clearly strange, with a hint of excitement. But he still chose to believe in his master. Then, his master told him not to resist and to unblock his meridians. After undoing it, Lin Yen stood there motionless and was beaten up crazily by his master. When he was hammering, he didn't feel anything wrong. Even though his master's fists were disorderly, and he was beating him with all his might, he still thought that this was the order in the chaos. It was just that he had only been practicing martial arts for a short period of time, so he couldn't see the profoundness in it. So he just stood there and let his master beat him up for an hour. Even if his inner strength was deep and his martial arts were good, being beaten up by an expert like his master, even if he didn't use his inner strength, it would still be painful. At this time, he still believed that his master was helping him unblock his meridians to prevent him from going berserk. This was his master. If it were someone else, he would definitely not believe it. When his master stopped, he heard a very happy laugh, like this, "Ha ha 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 ha, this little brat, back then, he defeated me in front of so many people and didn't give me any face. Today, I finally got my face back." Only then did Lin Yen realize that he had been deceived. Although he was deceived, his master still told him about the abnormality in the end. Therefore, his master was still his master. Although he had beaten him up, he was still his master. The merits and demerits offset each other. Vertex. Chapter 1934. When he went down the mountain, his master told him that if it wasn't for the fact that he was his disciple, he would have been slapped in the face. Lin Yen thought that his master was already very good to him. If he really was slapped in the face, he would have no face to see Miss Bai when he came back. Although he was now covered in fist wounds, Miss Bai wouldn't know. He would just secretly apply some medicinal wine and it would be fine. When Lin Yen came back to his senses, he found that something was wrong with Tang Bai. Seeing her staring in a certain direction, he looked in the same direction. He saw that it was a pavilion. It turned out that they had unknowingly walked to the lake. In the pavilion, there were several young masters sitting there. He knew all of them. The two most outstanding ones were Su Mo Chen and the third prince. "Miss Bai, are you really worried about Miss Tang Chong?" Other than this, Lin Yen couldn't think of anything else. He always knew that Tang Bai didn't like Su Mochen at all. As long as she found a chance to talk to Tang Chong, she couldn't help but persuade the other. But Tang Chong was too stubborn and didn't listen to advice. Tang Bai looked away. "I heard from my sister that the situation is getting worse. I'm very worried about Miss Chong." She could see that the soul in Tang Chong's body was a very simple girl who wholeheartedly liked Su Mochen. Just by the fact that she took out so many things that were beneficial to Su Mochen, it was enough to prove that she was sincere. This sincerity could be given to anyone, but not to Su Mochen. That person wouldn't cherish it. Master has arranged everything to protect Miss Tang Chong's life. Tang Bai smiled and shook her head. "I know. With sister and brother-in-law around, everything would be arranged properly in the headquarters." She didn't understand why she was reborn. Was she going to live a peaceful life like this after her rebirth? Miss Tang Bai. When Tang Bai and Lin Yen were about to leave, they were suddenly stopped by someone. Who else could it be but Su Mochen, who called out to her? She turned around stiffly and suddenly remembered that there was still someone standing beside her. Her heart relaxed slightly and she turned to face Su Mochen. She wasn't so nervous. After facing Su Mochen, Tang Bai instantly felt a gaze with a deeper meaning. She frowned slightly. She didn't need to think too much to know that it was from the third prince. Su Mochen was one of the third prince's men, so he definitely knew about the matter between her sister and brother-in-law. He and the third prince were on the same side, so the third prince most likely knew about this matter. Then the third prince must have known that she was the younger sister of the little princess. No wonder she felt uncomfortable when she saw the meaningful look in his eyes just now. This Su Mochen was afraid of his brother-in-law and didn't dare to provoke him, so he planned to let the third prince make a move on her. It was indeed a good plan. Tang Bai, who had originally planned to avoid it, didn't know why, but she didn't want to anymore. Why was Su Mochen able to use others as he pleased? Then she would let him experience what it meant to have his hopes dashed. "Young Master Su." Tang Bai paused for a moment before changing the way she addressed him. "I should call you Marquis now." When Su Mochen saw Tang Bai, he was also stunned. Was this still the dark-skinned little girl from before? Her delicate skin and pretty face were something that even the noble ladies in the capital could not compare to. He didn't know why, but when he saw this side of Tang Bai, he wanted to dispel his previous thoughts. Vertex. Chapter 1935. The third prince's eyes were filled with amazement. Thinking of the other's identity, his eyes became even more fiery. This kind of beauty, even if she didn't have any status, he was still willing to have her. The other party was also the little princess's younger sister, so he was even more satisfied. Fortunately, he didn't have an official wife yet, only a concubine and a concubine. The little princess's younger sister, if he gave her the position of official wife, the other party shouldn't say anything. After all, if he inherited the throne in the future, she would be the mother of the world. Miss Tang Bai, did you just arrive in the capital? Su Machin asked with a smile, pointing to the pavilion. Do you want to sit there? Okay. Lin Yan thought that Tang Bai would refuse, but didn't expect her to agree. He didn't like the way these two men looked at her. But if she wanted to go, he could only accompany her. Although he was a bit of a blockhead, he could see that Tang Bai had just changed her attitude. Why did she change? In Tang Bai's eyes, there wasn't any infatuation with anyone. It was also because he had been by his master's side for too long that his eyes on women were quite accurate. Before, he was confused because he thought that he wouldn't be moved by women and didn't think too much about it. Now that his mind was bewitched by her, he naturally had to carefully observe her various emotions. With him here, she wouldn't be at a disadvantage, so he decided to see what she wanted to do. The third prince was delighted. It seemed that things were easier than he thought. Su Machin was slightly jealous. He didn't know why, but ever since he saw this different Tang Bai, he felt that he had missed something. But what was in front of him was a great undertaking. The third prince seemed to be very satisfied with Tang Bai, so he couldn't do anything. They chatted happily and the third prince even asked Tang Bai to come out to play next time, which Tang Bai agreed. Lin Yan escorted Tang Bai back, and on the way back, he couldn't help but ask, Miss Bai, why did you agree to them? It's my first time in the capital and I don't know anyone, so I wanted to make friends. Is that so? Lin Yan didn't ask any more questions. After sending Tang Bai back, he turned to organize the third prince's information. The next day, when Tang Bai opened the door and left the room, Lin Yan was already standing at the door with a pile of information. Big brother Lin, what are you doing? Miss Bai, this is the information I've investigated for you. Lin Yan handed a pile of books to Tang Bai. It's all about the third prince. Miss Bai, take a good look. Even if you're making friends, you have to keep your eyes open. Some people don't look good and have a noble status, but in reality, their hearts are completely black. Tang Bai froze for a moment, hugging a pile of books and not understanding what was going on. But since Lin Yan had given her these, she intended to take a look. Although she had a certain understanding of the third prince. After she finished reading, she felt that she really didn't know enough. This third prince was indeed a character. Not only was he vicious and merciless, he was also a very cunning person. Within 2 days, Tang Guo also found out that Tang Bai and the third prince had become friends, and that Lin Yan was so anxious that he almost went to pick the third prince up and beat him up. She lay in Gu Jussi's arms and could not stop laughing. Guo, is Bai really alright? No, Bai won't like Su Machin, and she definitely won't like the third prince. Gu Jussi nodded. These days, Lin Yan can't control himself anymore. If Bai meets the third prince again, I think he'll really find the third prince in the middle of the night to settle the score. Jiu, we should go back. Gu Jussi calculated the time and nodded. That's right, we should go back. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, quickly change into a female supporting role and calm down. Look, talk about life and find a confidant. Chapter 1936. In the past half-month, Tang Bai would meet with the third prince at the lakeside pavilion almost every day or two. Of course, she would bring Lin Yan with her every time. The third prince and Su Machin had tacitly agreed that Lin Yan was her guard for the time being to protect her safety. They didn't know that under Lin Yan's cold face, there was a ruthless expression that wished he could tear the two of them to pieces. Although they often felt that the surroundings were chilly, they didn't think of this aspect. Tang Bai looked at the third prince fawning over her with a gentle smile on her face. Yesterday, her sister told her that in 3 days, they would be leaving for family Tang village. This third prince thought that everything was in her hands. She didn't know if he would be angry when she returned. Because of Lin Yan's courage and her sister's support, she gradually wasn't afraid of Su Machin. She found that in front of the supreme imperial power, Su Machin was nothing. In order to take revenge, she had to cling to the third prince. According to the news she heard from her sister, it wouldn't be a problem for him to live another 40 years. Previously, her sister also said that the 3 concubines were expecting. In these 40 years, who knows how many younger siblings the third prince would have. 40 years later, the third prince in front of her who would soon be 30 years old would also be a white-haired old man. Perhaps he wouldn't even live until then. Tang Bai laughed a little when she thought about it. Marquis, third prince, I still have some matters to attend to, so I have to go back early today. She would be leaving in 3 days, so she had to go back and pack her luggage. While she was at it, she would go out tomorrow to buy some small gifts for her family, the villagers, and the embroidery shop. She didn't know when she would return to the capital this time, so she should bring some new things for them to see. The two didn't force Tang Bai and watched her leave. After she left, the third prince said, I think it's about time to express our feelings to her. If we can get the little prince's support, our great cause will be no problem. The third prince said with some excitement. He patted Su Machin's shoulder. Machin, it's my fortune to have your help. Helping the third prince achieve great things is what I hope for. Machin, don't worry. When I succeed, I won't forget you. The third prince's eyes were filled with ambition. With the support of the little prince, no one could be his opponent. 3 days later, Tang Gua, Tang Bai, and the group slowly left the capital before the sun rose. Lin Yan looked at Tang Bai, who didn't have any reluctance on her face, and he let out a sigh of relief. He wanted to ask, but he didn't know how. Seeing Tang Bai looking at the scenery outside and smiling happily, he didn't have the heart to disturb her. Forget it, they have already left the capital. Miss Bai doesn't seem to be interested in the third prince. What? He's gone. The third prince's eyes widened as he asked in disbelief, say that again. She really left? Replying to third prince, yes, Miss Tang Bai left early this morning. Among his subordinates, the third prince was somewhat frightened and angry. He said cautiously, this subordinate has confirmed it 3 times. The person has indeed left. The courtyard has been locked up and there are people guarding it. Just like before, no one is allowed to take a step in. Afterwards, this subordinate went to the city gates to investigate. At dawn, several carriages left. It was the little prince and the others. The peak. Chapter 1937. The third prince hammered the stone table in the pavilion hard and looked back at Su Machin. Machin, what's going on? Didn't you have a good chat before? Why did you leave without saying goodbye? He originally thought that what he did was enough to attract a woman like Tang Bai. From the other party's words, he believed that the other party had taken a fancy to him. Although Su Machin was relieved, he still looked puzzled. Why don't we send someone to ask? Then let's go and ask. However, letter after letter was sent out, there was no reply. Every time Lin Yan received a letter, he unhappily handed it to Tang Bai, saying, it's from the third prince, do you want to see it? No, burn it. Then, Lin Yan happily went to burn the letter. Later, it became a letter from Su Machin. Lin Yan asked, this time it's signed by Su Machin. Do you want to see it, Miss Bai? He was ready to burn it. Tang Bai stuck her head out of the carriage and said, Brother Lin, I don't want to see it. In the future, if there are any letters in the capital, except for those from Sister Changxiang, second uncle, and my third brother, you don't have to give them to me. Just burn them. Okay, I won't bother you with these next time. Lin Yen was happy. Su Machin and the third prince, who were far away in the capital, were dumbfounded. They had been scheming for almost a month and gave up many things in order to get close to Tang Bai, hoping to use Tang Bai to get the little prince's support. As long as Tang Bai became his third princess, then the relationship with the little prince would automatically be on his side. Unexpectedly, it was all in vain. He didn't understand why it was all in vain. The letter sent out didn't even have a single reply. The people sent out also didn't see Tang Bai when they came back. They also said that the guard called Lin Yen said that their Miss Bai had no friends in the capital. If he went to casually ask for marriage next time, he wouldn't be polite. What did it mean to turn hostile? This was exactly what it meant to turn hostile. Although they were angry, they couldn't do anything to Tang Bai. She had always been by the little prince and little princess's side. What could they do? If they offended the little prince, not to mention Su Machin, even the third prince would really make the emperor angry. Everyone knew how much the emperor spoiled the little prince. In the eyes of the emperor, the son's life was like grass, and the younger brother was a treasure. Offending the little prince, they would never be able to rise in their lives. Tang Guo found that Tang Bai was very happy. She naturally knew why Tang Bai was happy. Who would have thought that such a gentle little girl would retaliate against Su Machin and his wife? Sister, I didn't cause you any trouble, did I? Tang Bai was a little uneasy, that Su Mo Chen and the third prince both have bad intentions. No, this is no trouble at all. With your brother-in-law here, you can just kick those two into the lake. They won't dare to do anything. Tang Bai nodded, her heart filled with joy. So, she already had the power to kick the two of them into the lake without causing any trouble? Her sister would always unintentionally reveal a lot of things to her, to let her understand that now many people can't provoke their family. Tang Bai bit her lip, deep in thought. Finally, she felt relieved. If I go to the capital next time, little sister, I must kick them into the lake. Tang Bai held Tang Guo's arm and said with a smile. Okay, I'll call you next time. Chapter 1938. The third prince's faction could only continue with their original plan now that they had lost the chance to get close to Gu Jusi through Tang Bai. After Tang Guo left the capital was in turmoil. Among them, the third prince and the other princes finally engaged in a cruel competition. Tang Guo lived a peaceful life in her family Tang village. She watched Lin Yen follow Tang Bai like a shadow every day. Every few days, she would hear about what was going on in the capital from Gu Rongha. Since half a month ago, there had been a succession of princes who had made mistakes and been banished outside or placed under house arrest in their manners. Every time Gu Rongha finished talking, he just laughed and didn't care about it at all. The situation was under his second brother's control. It didn't matter how bad the situation was. After half a year of competition, the third prince and the sixth prince were the only ones who still had a firm foothold. Both of them thought that as long as they won, the emperor would definitely make one of them the crown prince. The emperor was so old that he didn't have many years left. One day, another piece of news came from the capital. Gu Rongha didn't smile. When he saw Tang Guo coming over, he handed the letter to her. Sister-in-law, this has something to do with you. Take a look. Tang Guo took the letter and read the content. She understood that it was within her expectations. The competition between the third prince and the sixth prince finally involved Tang Chong. The reason was that Su Machin had obtained a very important piece of evidence from the sixth prince. Once the evidence was exposed, the sixth prince's faction would be doomed. The sixth prince sent someone to discuss with Su Machin when he was at his wit's end. He planned to win Su Machin over and get the evidence first. Then he would treat Su Machin well. Of course, Su Machin didn't agree. In the end, the sixth prince kidnapped Tang Chong. He said that as long as Su Machin handed over the evidence, he would let Su Machin's beloved woman go. Unexpectedly, Su Machin didn't seem to care about Tang Chong's life and handed over all the evidence. In the end, the sixth prince was caught, but Tang Chong was not killed. Su Machin found her and brought her back. He thought that since this woman was still alive, he could still make use of her. In any case, the other party did not know that she was not important in his heart. If he had any enemies in the future, he would use her as a weakness. He didn't know that Tang Chong had heard the conversation between him and the sixth prince. At that time, Tang Chong was not anywhere else. She was trapped under the floor of that house by a wooden box. She heard Su Machin say that a woman was nothing in front of the great cause. He even told the sixth prince that he was too naive. Did he really think that the sixth prince would care about such a woman? The sixth prince quibbled. That woman was smart and had given him so many benefits. How could he not care? Su Machin mocked her, saying that he would never fall for such a foolish woman. In his heart, there was only hatred and ambition. The reason he said all this was because if the evidence was presented, the sixth prince would definitely fall. With the sixth prince's personality, he wouldn't say such things out loud. Even if he did, no one would believe him, because Tang Chong was not important to many people. Cousin, it's good that you understand. Tang Gua saw that in the end, Tang Chong escaped in the middle of the night to find Tang Indo, intending to take him with her. Of course, she ran into Su Machin on the way. He wanted to take her back, but at this time, Gu Juxi's men appeared to protect the father and daughter. Currently, the father and daughter were on their way back. Tang Gua told Tang Bai about this. Tang Bai was more happy than anything when she heard that Tang Chong was back. Su Machin was not worthy of anyone's sincerity. It was good that he was back. Half a month later, Tang Chong, who had lost a lot of weight, came back with Tang Indo, who had a big smile on his face. When Tang Chong saw Tang Gua and Tang Bai, she rushed out of the carriage and hugged them. Tang Gua heard Tang Chong muttering softly, "To hell with that goddamn Prince Charming. I'm not going to be a fan of Prince Charming anymore. That kind of scum is an insult to the word Prince Charming." Although Tang Chong was cursing in a low voice, Tang Gua could see the tears flowing down her cheeks. The pain and sadness in her eyes couldn't be concealed. "I want to be rich. I want to be rich. Father, let's do business together. My daughter will help you fulfill that wish." Tang Gua smiled. Tang Chong threw herself on Tang Indo and said these words quickly. "In the past, your daughter was not sensible. In the future, your daughter only wants to be rich and help father earn countless treasures. Prince Charming. To hell with that goddamn Prince Charming. To hell with him." Tang Chong looked at the white clouds floating by in the sky, her heart filled with pain. But she really liked him. She really liked him. For that love, she persevered for a long time. She kept telling herself to trust him one more time. Peak. Chapter 1939. Tang Chong was really a person who would do whatever she said. On the second day after returning to the family Tang village, she followed Tang Indo to look for Tang Gua. "Sister Gua, from today onwards, I'm going to run a business seriously with my father." Tang Chong looked very serious. Her bright and lively eyes were now much calmer. All the naivety in them had faded away. Except for yesterday when she came back, her eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of mist. Today, they were back to their former brightness. The brightness in the past seemed to be only for Su Machin. Now, she finally understood that this world was no longer the world she saw before. To her, it was a real world. The people she met were all real people. If she was hurt, it would hurt. If she was sad, she would feel terrible. The people around her were really good to her. There was a father who was infinitely tolerant of her, Tang Bai who never gave up persuading her, and Sister Gua, who knew everything. In the end, she was almost caught by Su Machin. It was Gua, brother-in-law's men who saved her. She used to be so willful, but when she was in danger, no one gave up on her. She was really touched. Her Prince Charming was different from what she thought. He even hurt her deeply and trampled on all her sincerity. She was sad, but she didn't live for a man. He didn't like her and didn't care about her anymore. Did she have to die? After all, she was a rising star who had received modern education. She couldn't embarrass herself in front of the ancient people, so she had to pull herself together. Without love, she still had family, friends, and could become a rich woman. Sister Gua, I have a few ideas that I want to work with you. Under the curious gaze of the few people, Tang Cheng took out a thick stack of paper. I drew this overnight. Sister Gua, take a look. Are these ideas useful? Tang Gua took it and looked at it slowly with a smile on her lips. What Tang Cheng drew were all kinds of clothes. Each of them was very beautiful and the style was not too exaggerated. If it was made according to the drawings, it would bring a lot of surprises to the women of this era. Not only that, in addition to the unique dresses, there were also some accessories that women liked, which were also very unique. At the end, she saw a few clothes that seemed to be modified based on Lorita. It was indeed very different from the clothes of this era, but it was really nice. This era was more liberal and the clothes of each country were very different. After Tang Cheng modified the clothes from Lorita, as long as someone dared to wear it, it would definitely attract many women. Sister Gua, are these okay? Tang Gua nodded. Yes, I'll work with you. After Tang Gua agreed, Tang Cheng's eyes seemed to overflow with countless beautiful little stars. That's great. Those little accessories are not bad. Rose's idea is very good. If this thing is made, it will definitely be very attractive. Sister Gua, actually, I have an idea, the boxes and bottles. Given Sister Gua's ability, you should be able to get a lot of glaze, right? You can design a special glaze that belongs to the Tang family and print the Tang family's words on the glaze. I believe that after this, the business will get better and more people will want to buy it. Peak. Chapter 1940. That day, Tang Cheng told Tang Gua a lot of her thoughts. She told Tang Gua everything she had seen in modern times that could be applied to this era. She wished she could explain everything clearly to Tang Gua in one day. Although she was a little naive and had a bad eye for people in the past, she was sure that her sister Gua was not the kind of person who would take advantage of others. If Sister Gua was really a profiteer, would the family Tang village be so prosperous now? When she thought of her father, who was originally the richest man in the village, became the poorest man because of her stubbornness in the past few years, she felt a little sad. She would work hard to bring out all that she knew and saw. Tang Cheng wrote all her thoughts in a book and finally handed it to Tang Gua. Tang Gua did not treat her unfairly and gave her a share of the profits. After leaving everything to Tang Gua, Tang Cheng took a lot of embroidery and rouge powder and went to the western region with Tang Indo. There were many established trade caravans in the Yu state. Latecomers like them could not seize the opportunity and would easily offend people. Even if they managed to get a place in the trade caravan, they would not be able to earn so much money. She thought that the things in the Yu state were very rare and precious in the western region. Moreover, the western region produced all kinds of beautiful gemstones. She would not sell these things for money. Instead, she would let those people exchange gemstones and rare items with her. After the exchange of goods, she and her father could bring some gemstones and rare items to the Yu state to exchange for money. Tang Cheng's idea was very successful. In just 3 years, she and Tang Indo had made a lot of money. The father and daughter also brought in many rare items from the western region, including some seeds of fruits and vegetables. Tang Cheng was very smart. She came to Tang Gua to cooperate with her. After getting these things, Tang Gua naturally had to discuss with the emperor. She did not expect Tang Cheng to bring so many surprises. Through Tang Gua, Tang Chong met the emperor as a businesswoman and presented the treasures she had obtained from various countries. Especially those rare seeds, which the emperor liked very much. Because Tang Chong not only brought back the seeds of fruits and vegetables, but also people. These people had a low status in the western region and were comparable to slaves. She did not know how to grow these things, so she bought all these people. She had planned to cooperate with Tang Gua and let Tang Gua distribute these people. She believed that the smart Sister Gua would definitely be able to surprise her. She didn't expect Sister Gua to give her a surprise. She actually let her meet the emperor. Now, she had even been recognized by the emperor, who had even given her a special identity as an imperial merchant of the Yu Kingdom. He was not the emperor of the Yu Kingdom, but the imperial merchant of the Yu Kingdom to the other kingdoms. He was mainly in charge of the transactions between the Yu Kingdom and the other kingdoms. Now that Yu country has lioli, soap, and other good things, they just lack someone who can travel to other countries and have a business mind. The emperor looked left and right, this Tang Chong. He still remembered that Tang Chong was the one who suggested lioli and soap. It would be a waste if he did not make use of her. When Su Machen saw Tang Chong again, he was stunned. The minister around her was also talking with confidence. She was not timid at all. He could not see the confident woman in her eyes. She was not like the person he knew at all. The top. Chapter 1941. Chong. When Tang Chong was not talking to anyone, Su Machen came to her and called her affectionately. Tang Chong looked back coldly and glanced at him. That careless attitude made Su Machen feel a little cold. Was she still the woman who only had eyes for him? Why couldn't he see his shadow in her eyes? Duke, are you calling me? The emperor not only gave Tang Chong the special identity of a royal merchant, but also gave her a nominal position. Although it was a nominal position, it also represented her status. He also gave her a house in the capital. In front of Su Machen, her status was not lower than his. And she also knew that her sister Gua was the little princess. Who was the little prince? He was the mysterious ninth prince, the emperor's favorite brother. So, Su Machen should be afraid of her. Chong, why are you so distant? Seeing Tang Chong now, Su Machen was very regretful. Who would have thought that this woman who looked like a straw bag could grow up to this day? If Tang Chong was still one of his people, it would be great if she supported him with her current status and wealth. A few years ago, he and the third prince fought against other threatening princes. He thought that victory was in sight, but the emperor did not intend to make him the crown prince. Whether or not he made him the crown prince, his wealth and power must not be small. Tang Chong smiled and said to Su Machen, Duke, I heard that you got a pair of twins last month. Congratulations here. By the way, I still have something to do. Sister Gua and Bai are waiting for me. Before Su Machen could speak, Tang Chong walked past him and left. Su Machen's face stiffened. He wanted to chase after her, but in the end, he remembered who Tang Chong was going to see and stopped. He clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. His eyes fell coldly on the place where Tang Chong disappeared. When the third prince's business was successful, he would give these people a big gift. Wait and see. Miss Bai, the third prince just sent someone to ask you to go to the lake tomorrow. Do you want to go? Lin Yen asked coldly. Tang Bai paused for a moment. I'm not going. Big brother Lin, in the future, as long as it's the third prince's people, I won't see them. How about this, big brother Lin? Just tell him that I already have someone I like and I'm already engaged. I should avoid other men. Do you have someone you like? Was he engaged? Lin Yen subconsciously ignored the other words and only heard these two sentences. He first replied to third prince's men, then came back to ask Tang Bai, Miss Bai, when did you get engaged? When he asked this, he was extremely nervous. Tang Bai was a little puzzled, Big Brother Lin, when did I get engaged? That's right, Miss Ah Bai. When did you get engaged? Why didn't I know about it? Tang Bai quickly reacted and said with a smile, no, what I said just now was just to deceive the third prince. I don't want to pay attention to him. Lin Yen heaved a sigh of relief. Then Miss Ah Bai, do you have someone you like? Or was what he said just now to deceive the third prince? That's right, it was to deceive him. How could I have someone I like? Tang Bai said faintly. In this life, she probably wouldn't have anyone she liked anymore. In her previous life, she was tired of loving and hurt enough. Liking someone was so tiring. If she liked the wrong person, it would be a tragedy. Lin Yan's heart relaxed and he sighed again, not asking anything else. The Peak. Chapter 1942. Over the past few years, I've heard people talking behind my back about how long I have left to live. Don't you think that's ridiculous? The emperor held a glass of wine and sat lazily on the dragon throne as he talked to Tang Gua and the others. Everyone present today was a family. The emperor didn't seem to be so arrogant and was much more approachable. Ever since he became familiar with Tang Gua and the others, he didn't let his imagination run wild. Every day, there are people cursing me to die early. The emperor snorted. In their dreams. I have a few more decades to live. It's so annoying. In the past few years, I've had a few more sons who have grown up one after another. These sons are cuter when they're young. They're not obedient at all when they grow up. Haven't I given them enough? You're always thinking about Jin's early death and want to sit below Jin's butt. Gu Jusi comforted him. Second brother, don't be angry. Take care of yourself and live longer. Those little bastards will die of anger. That's right. Second brother, what's there to be angry about? Look at your eldest son. He's in his 30s. In another 30 or 40 years, he'll be a white-haired old man. Second brother, take care of yourself. You might even be younger than those little bastards. There are also some little bastards who indulge in wine, meat, and beauty. Maybe they won't live to that age. The emperor glanced at Gu Ronghe and laughed. Eldest brother, you're right. Maybe I'll be the one who dies before my own. Gu Ronghe was speechless. Second brother really didn't know how to talk. He didn't know how sad his nephews would be if he said that. Tang Guo was speechless. Interesting. Gu Jusi was speechless. Second brother seemed to make a lot of sense. But I'm still a little annoyed. Eldest brother, ninth brother, sister-in-law, help me think of a way. Let those little bastards fight among themselves. Don't keep guessing when I'll die, okay? Although I'm very healthy, I don't want to be cursed behind my back for a short life. The emperor looked worried. We can't kill all those who badmouth me. They're all important people in the court. They won't be able to take care of them for a while. Other than their bad mouths, they don't have any other major problems. Every emperor is very lonely. This second brother is still considered good. At least there are two brothers standing by his side who can feel the sincerity of family. The other emperors were not so lucky. It was not that they were paranoid, but their own sons really wanted the emperor to die every day, and they wanted to sit on the throne. As for familial love, there was definitely some, but under the temptation of power, these were not worth mentioning. Otherwise, why would the emperor be called a loner? Sister-in-law, we see that you are deep in thought. Have you thought of any good ideas? Tang Guo returned to her senses and smiled. I did think of something, but I don't know if it'll be useful to you. Tell me about it first. System, he felt that this woman was up to no good again. Since second brother is annoyed that people are talking about your life and death every day, I also don't like countless people coveting your position. I have two ideas. First, why don't you set up a target and let the other party attract everyone's attention? That way, no one will keep an eye on you. The emperor's eyes lit up. This was actually his idea, but he didn't do it yet. What's the second idea? The second idea. Tangua's smile deepened. The peak. Chapter 1943. As for the second one, I will be the most filial to you and always think about your little nephew. It will give others the illusion that you like filial children. In this way, nephew Nashi will not look forward to your death every day. They all hope that you will live well and perform well, so that they can win your favor one day. Second brother, what do you think of this idea? Even if it is fake filial piety, it is better than looking forward to your death every day, isn't it? The emperor did not mind Tangua talking about his death. In fact, he did not have such taboos and rules in front of his trusted relatives. The reason why he looked so unpredictable in front of outsiders was that he hid himself as a way to protect himself. If everyone dared to talk about life and death with him, no one would be afraid of him. After hearing Tangua's suggestion, he was suddenly enlightened. Yes, those little bastards looked forward to his death every day. Then he would deliberately spoil them and be filial to them. Whether they were really filial or not, he would appreciate the one who did well on the surface. Every time he heard a secret guard report that a certain son was secretly discussing why he wasn't dead yet, he felt very stifled just listening to it. They were all his children. Those children he had held were not obedient when they grew up. It really made him sad. Sister-in-law, this is a good idea. I will do as you say. Gu Rongha and Gu Jusi looked at each other and involuntarily glanced at Tangua. Then they silently buried their heads and drank tea. A thought flashed through their minds. If they were not from the same family, they would not enter the same house. This idea was really wonderful. After that day, the direction of the imperial court changed drastically. For a time, all the princes and princesses became filial sons and daughters. The reason was that one day, a younger prince was concerned about the emperor's health and asked him to keep the emperor alive. Then the emperor gave the prince a lot of rewards and often went to see the prince to ask about his homework. When this happened, many princes suddenly realized why the emperor did not appoint a crown prince. It turned out that the emperor thought they were not filial enough. From then on, the emperor experienced the feeling of all his children being filial. Although he knew it was fake, he didn't care. In fact, he thought it was quite fun. According to the news from the hidden guards, it wasn't the princes who were hoping for his death. Instead, it was the princes who were looking for interesting things to give to him. He did not mistreat the prince who was filial to him. He rewarded him when he deserved it and praised him when he deserved it. He suddenly realized that compared to scolding these brats, it was more interesting to praise them. Looking at the happy faces of these children, he closed the door and sat alone on the dragon throne, slapping his thigh and laughing heartily. Interesting, this is really interesting. Among them, the third prince had Sumachen's plans one by one. His hard work paid off and he finally won the emperor's favor. While the two of them were flattered, the emperor conferred the title of crown prince to the third prince. Even after the crown prince was conferred, the princes realized that the emperor was not stingy with his praise for the other princes, nor did he belittle them because of the crown prince. When they performed meritorious deeds and did well, they would be rewarded and praised. Because of this, countless princes especially hoped that the emperor could live a little longer. Then, the emperor realized that the princes often sent him some rare tonics from all over your country and even other countries. They were all rare tonics. He rewarded these filial sons well. At the top. Chapter 1944. Ever since the third prince became the crown prince, the princes had been very busy. On one hand, they were busy being filial to the emperor and finding supplements for him. On the other hand, they were busy catching the third prince's mistakes. The saddest ones were the third prince and Sumachen. Later, Tangua received a letter from the emperor. In the letter, he talked about some interesting things between him and the princes. He also said that her idea was really good. Because of this, he asked people to send Tanguy many rare treasures. Of course, it also brought them an even better piece of news. The emperor wrote, yesterday, after the imperial physician took Jin's pulse, he said that Jin's body has become much stronger. Combined with the supplements and martial arts, Jin's lifespan will probably be extended by a few more years. Perhaps in a few decades, Jin will really have to send off Jin's child. Tanguy read the letter and was a bit speechless. Gu Jusi couldn't help but laugh. I've never seen second brother so happy. It must be because he's happy that his health has improved. Thank you so much. What are you thanking me for? Do you need to thank me? Gu Jusi didn't care. He just wanted to thank his Without her, how could second brother and eldest brother's health recover to this extent? Later, on a rainy day, Su Machin rode a horse to find Tang Chong. No one knew what the two talked about, but Su Machin was thrown out in the end. It was said that one of his legs was broken. When Tanguy asked, Tang Chong said, what else could it be? He actually wanted to abandon his wife and children. He divorced his wife and said that he wanted to marry me. Breaking one of his legs was already a light punishment. Sister Changxiang, you did well. Tang Bai said happily. From then on, Su Machin never came to find Tang Chong again. Tang Chong never married in her life. She spent all her time traveling between countries, bringing out items from your country and bringing in rare items from other countries. When she was alive, she was always valued by the emperor. She became one of the most outstanding women in your country and fulfilled Tang Indo's wish to be the richest in the world. In the following decades, the princes were filial to the emperor and fought against the third prince, the crown prince. After that, the first prince died of old age, the second prince died of old age, the fourth prince died of old age, the ninth prince also died of old age. One day, countless princes saw the white-haired crown prince and the white-haired Marquis Su standing in the imperial court. In the main hall, the emperor, who was much older than them, actually had a head of black hair. He was still full of energy, his eyes were bright, and a chill ran down his spine. The third prince looked at the emperor, who was already in his 70s, who was still so healthy. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and collapsed on the throne room in front of all the civil and military officials. Su Machin spat out a mouthful of blood. They had survived countless people, but they did not expect that they would not be able to survive the emperor. How is the crown prince? The emperor asked. The imperial physician replied, Your Majesty, the crown prince is old. Oh, it's all fate. Take care of the crown prince. I'm a little sad and want some peace and quiet. All the civil and military officials shook their heads as they watched the energetic emperor leave. They also wanted some peace and quiet. Over the years, how many people had fallen in the imperial court one after another? Their wise and mighty emperor really had to send off his own children again and again. Brother Lin, why don't you marry in this life? The white-haired Lin Yen still had his sword on his back as he stood beside Tang Bai. There was only infinite gentleness in his cold eyes. I don't want to marry. I thought Brother Lin would say that you don't have anyone you like. Tang Bai lowered her head and smiled. Lin Yen said, I have someone I like. Then why don't you marry the person you like? Tang Bai raised her head and asked with a smile. Lin Yen looked at her and answered seriously, she doesn't want to get married. She said that she won't like anyone else in this life, so I won't force her. Is it worth it? It's not worth it or not. Although I haven't married and she hasn't married, I can always be by her side and accompany her until she grows old. Tang Bai joked, Brother Lin, I said you're a blockhead, but you won't admit it. No wonder you're always bullied by your brothers. Lin Yen just looked at her and smiled as he followed her back. Decades had passed in a hurry. It was already good enough to be by her side. Tang Bai suddenly stopped and turned back. Brother Lin, you've been by my side for a lifetime. If I die one day, I'm afraid I won't be used to it. Even if I die, I'll be by your side. Really? Really? Tang Bai walked over and asked, then how about we stay together after death? Lin Yen was stunned for a moment, then a smile appeared on his old and cold face. Okay. Tang Chong, you're in class again? Tang Chong was awakened by a knock on her head. When she opened her eyes, she saw the class teacher's scary face. She was originally the most afraid of the class teacher. Now that she saw this face that was like a living corpse, she looked around. Those familiar faces and environment actually made her laugh foolishly. You still dare to laugh? Hand over your phone. Tang Chong obediently took out her phone and handed it to the class teacher with both hands. This action shocked everyone in the class. So obedient today? The class teacher took the phone and frowned. Looking at Tang Chong's silly look, she put her hand on her forehead. You don't have a fever. Student Tang Chong, if anything happens, you must tell me. You're still young, don't feel pressured. The class teacher said earnestly, it's a way to pass the time. It's suitable to look at it when you're relaxing. You should study hard in class, understand? Tang Chong was still smiling foolishly and nodding vigorously. Keep your phone well. Don't look at these things in class in the future. The class teacher observed Tang Chong and felt that she must pay more attention to this female student in the future. She didn't know if something had happened to her. Students at this age were the most likely to have psychological problems. But she didn't know that Tang Chong in front of her had lived her life in a certain place and experienced a magical journey. When Tang Guo opened her eyes in the new world, there was darkness in front of her and she couldn't see anything. Was it an accident or was it natural? Peak. Chapter 1945. It was an accident. The system replied. It was pitch black when she opened her eyes. This was the first time Tang Guo experienced this. Although she had traveled through time and space for so many years, she had also experienced the feeling of going blind. But this was the first time she could not see. The feeling of coming to a strange world and trying to familiarize herself with the environment but suddenly realizing that she could not see was not a good feeling. Even if she was not afraid of anything, the feeling of not being able to see her surroundings was not good. Especially the surroundings, it was really too quiet. This kind of silence made her feel very lonely. She touched the things around her. She seemed to be sitting on a soft sofa. From the texture of the sofa, she could guess that her family was not bad. Is it day or night now? Day. The system replied obediently. Its host's state of mind was too calm. It felt a little unreal. Previously, it had secretly browsed through the plot of this world. After reading the plot, it did not remind Tang Guo if she wanted to read the plot. Because the things that happened in this world were not so pleasant. Tang Guo had already sat on the sofa again and found a more comfortable position to lean on. Because she could not see, it made no difference whether she closed her eyes or not. When she was about to accept the memory, she still closed her eyes out of habit. Is there anyone at home? No. When the system heard this, it knew that the host was about to accept the memory and plot. Then accept the memory and plot. Tang Guo sat on the sofa and leaned on the soft pillow. She closed her eyes and began to accept the memory and watch the plot of this world. Through the memory, she knew that the place she was living in now was not her home. It was her fiancé, Jiang Yandong's villa. This body had just turned 10 years old this year. It was when she was 10 years old that she was engaged to Jiang Yandong. This year, Jiang Yandong was 19 years old. The family Tang and the Jiang family were family friends. The relationship between the two families had always been good. Jiang Yandong's parents and her parents were very busy researchers. They were very busy all year round and did not have much time to meet. The two villas were bought next to each other. The original owner and Jiang Yandong knew each other since childhood. They could be said to be childhood sweethearts. When they were very young, both parents thought that the two of them were compatible. If there were no other accidents, they hoped that the two of them would become a couple. The original owner had liked Jiang Yandong since she was a child. Their paths were different from their parents. Jiang Yandong had loved games since he was young. All kinds of games were his favorites. When he was 14 years old, he was spotted by an esports club due to his outstanding gaming talent. Since then, he had joined that famous esports club and started a different life. The 15-year-old Jiang Yandong performed outstandingly in a magnificent esports competition and obtained the highest honor for the entire team. He became the rising star of the esports world, the idol of countless young girls, and the worship of countless esports fans. For a time, Jiang Yandong's name was all the rage in the esports world. Everyone knew him and was proud of him. He was only in his teens, and his esports career had just begun. He still had many years ahead of him, and everyone believed that he would bring them countless surprises in the following days. Chapter 1946. Just as everyone expected, the 16, 17, 18, and 19-year-old Jiang Yandong didn't disappoint anyone. He achieved more and more, making people look up to him. During this time, no one knew that Jiang Yandong's esports career almost stopped because of an accident. Geniuses would always attract jealousy. In this world, there would always be people who would stifle the growth of geniuses for various reasons, preventing them from continuing their glory. Jiang Yandong was too dazzling, and he finally met with such a disaster. But he was very lucky. There was a girl called Tanghua who helped him block this misfortune. Jiang Yandong was lucky enough to escape that accident. His eyes and hands weren't injured. The host wasn't so lucky. She lost her sight and her hands were injured to a certain extent. Before she was injured, the host was a girl who liked to play the piano and draw. After she lost her sight, these things left her. But she didn't feel dispirited. When she found out that Jiang Yandong wasn't injured and that after that accident, he still participated in the competition normally and even won, she was really happy. Ever since Jiang Yandong became interested in esports and mentioned it to the host, his eyes lit up. She knew what esports meant to Jiang Yandong. It was his life. She couldn't see, but she liked to listen to Jiang Yandong's competitions. When she knew that he won in the end, she would always smile from the bottom of her heart and call Jiang Yandong to congratulate him. Jiang Yandong's feelings for the host were more complicated. Maybe he liked her a little, but more than that, he felt guilty and grateful. After that incident, he promised the host and her parents that he would take care of her for the rest of his life. So when she turned 18, he decided to get engaged to her. When Jiang Yandong got engaged, it caused quite a stir. Many fans thought that how could such an outstanding esports genius like Jiang Yandong have a fiancé who couldn't see? In this regard, Jiang Yandong was honest enough to tell everyone that if it wasn't for the host, he wouldn't be where he was today. After knowing this story, the fans weren't so excited. This matter was considered over. If everything happened slowly and nothing went wrong, Jiang Yandong would retire in the future and marry the original owner. Then they would live a warm and peaceful life. But Jiang Yandong was the male lead of this world, and the female lead of this world was someone else. The original owner wasn't the female lead, which meant that she couldn't walk with the male lead to the end. No matter if she was good or bad, she would leave the male lead's side in the end. She would only be a stepping stone, cannon fodder, a small supporting role between the male lead and female lead. The female lead of this world was called Shaolian. Shaolian was born in a family of godly thieves. During the day, she was an ordinary high school student. Like other girls, she chased after celebrities, played games, and talked about those genius esports players. Especially in the past 2 years, the esports industry had been developing rapidly. These girls talked more about esports gossip. At night, Shaolian was a peerless thief. She had skills that ordinary people didn't have in the modern world. She could climb tall buildings with her bare hands. Not to mention 3 or 5 floors, she could even climb 7 or 8 floors easily with her skills. As for the higher and more dangerous ones, she could easily climb them with the help of some tools. The peak. Chapter 1947. In this world, there were many capable people. A family like Xiao Lian's was just the tip of the iceberg. These capable people hid in the crowd. Unless they exposed themselves, no one would think that such people could be around you. They had their own groups and forums. Like ordinary people, they chased after idols and gossiped. At the same time, they also had some special hobbies. For example, if they didn't like someone, they would secretly prank that person at night. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't go too far. They would also post some tasks. As long as they completed the task, they would receive a generous reward. If they were interested, they would usually do it. This forum didn't only have these capable people, but also other ordinary people. In fact, most of the time, it was those ordinary people who posted the tasks. Their high rewards could often attract a large number of people to help them with the tasks. The cause of the matter was that there was a task to steal Jiang Yandong's personal belongings. The basic reward was 100,000 yuan. If one item was stolen, another 100,000 yuan would be added. If 2 items were stolen, another 100,000 yuan would be added. In short, the more items were stolen, the more the reward would be. For these capable people, stealing personal belongings was only worth a few 100,000 yuan. They didn't want to do it. However, such a reward was still attractive to Xiao Lian, who had just finished her apprenticeship. Moreover, she was also a girl who liked esports. She also wanted to see what the home of the esports expert Jiang Yandong was like. If she could see him with her own eyes and take a few photos while stealing, it should cause a big sensation, right? Thus, Xiao Lian accepted the task to steal Jiang Yandong's belongings. One night, she sneaked into the villa and packed a lot of Jiang Yandong's clothes. In the end, she was discovered by Jiang Yandong, who had just taken a shower. Jiang Yandong was wrapped in a bath towel and had a series of fights with Xiao Lian. In the end, she tore off the bath towel. At this critical moment, the original owner heard some noise and came downstairs. Taking advantage of this, Xiao Lian turned around and escaped. Because in this scene, no discord, no concord. The male and female protagonists knew each other, and in the various scenes that the two of them encountered later on, they didn't get along. It was like a gathering of enemies. Slowly, they developed feelings for each other. Xiao Lian later joined Jiang Yandong's club because she had some gaming talent. From then on, the two of them teamed up and became a legend in the esports world. Where there were male and female leads, there would naturally be disputes and all sorts of dangers. After the two of them faced countless dangers together, how could they not be moved by each other? Although the original owner couldn't see, he could feel that Jiang Yandong was different from before. In any case, she was a pampered young lady. When she felt unsafe, it was inevitable that she would often call Jiang Yandong, hoping that he would appear by her side. She was silently jealous. In this dark world, she did not even know who her love rival was. Later, she secretly went to the esports club and heard a lot of things. Only then did she know that Jiang Yandong and Xiao Lian were known as the golden couple in the esports world. Later on, the original owner appeared more and more in the club. Because of the uncertainty in her heart, she disturbed Jiang Yandong a lot. In the eyes of people who loved esports, anyone who disturbed the training and competition of an esports genius for any reason was unforgivable and sinful. The peak. Chapter 1948. Jiang Yandong's friends and colleagues helped him hide the truth about Xiao Lian and Jiang Yandong. At the same time, they also tried to persuade Jiang Yandong that they weren't suitable for each other. Xiao Lian was also sad because of Jiang Yandong's fiancé. She sat in a corner and was comforted by the second, third, and fourth boys. Jiang Yandong looked at the second male lead, the third male lead, and the fourth male lead. As they comforted Xiao Lian, he felt jealous. It was hard for him to bear the care and disturbance of the original Jiang Yandong. He wanted to break up with her many times, but he owed the original Jiang Yandong too much and couldn't make up his mind. Later, someone exposed that the original Jiang Yandong disturbed Jiang Yandong's training. She used the excuse that she was blind to help Jiang Yandong and did whatever she wanted in the club. The original Jiang Yandong often heard people talking about her. There was even one time when Jiang Yandong's female fans cursed and threw things at her. She was completely at a loss as to what to do and did not understand what she had done wrong. She was just afraid of losing the person she liked. She never thought of stopping his dream. She just wanted him to talk to her when he was free and tell her about the beauty of the world. She could sit on the side and train with him. Even if he couldn't come over to talk to her, she would feel safe sitting there. But Jiang Yandong was already impatient with her and had someone else he liked. She was a person of flesh and blood. She knew sadness, jealousy, anger, and unwillingness. She could give up everything for Jiang Yandong. Jiang Yandong promised her that he would be with her and take care of her for the rest of her life. Why did he like someone else? Standing in the corner of the club, she could hear people whispering about her. Jiang Yandong's friends also came to her and told her that they weren't suitable for each other. They told her that Jiang Yandong still had a long future and told her not to ruin his future. She opened her mouth countless times, but didn't know what to say or how to explain herself. She hid in the corner and heard Xiao Lian and Jiang Yandong arguing. She felt the other party's pain and embarrassment. In the end, she chose to go home with the blind guide stick. There was a very important competition the next day. She didn't want to ruin Jiang Yandong's dream. At this critical moment, she chose to leave quietly. Perhaps it was because she remembered how Jiang Yandong comforted Xiao Lian. Even when they argued, they were still affectionate. Her mind was in a mess. Even the blind guide stick didn't seem to be able to help her identify the direction. Amidst the chaos, the original owner was hit by a car and died on the spot. Due to guilt over the death, Jiang Yandong, he didn't perform well in the competition the next day. Was his only failure in the club. The fans knew that it was the death of Jiang Yandong that caused Jiang Yandong to perform poorly. They didn't sympathize with Jiang Yandong's death. Instead, they cursed her for not dying earlier or later, but on the first day of the competition. Wasn't this going against Jiang Yandong? Just because Jiang Yandong didn't like her and wanted to break up with her, she used such a vicious method to get back at him and ruin his future. Poor Jiang Yandong. Just because of an accident, she had to endure so much abuse. Jiang Yandong was depressed for half a year because of this incident. Under Xiao Lian's careful comfort, he slowly walked out of it. The peak. Chapter 1949. He returned to the esports world and teamed up with Xiao Lian to dominate the esports world. That was when they really got together and became a legend in the esports world. Every time people recalled Xiao Lian, they would pull out the original host and talk about it. They talked about how evil she was and how she wanted to destroy Jiang Yandong. But in the end, she was no match for Xiao Lian. Because of Xiao Lian, Jiang Yandong returned to their sights. They said that the original host deserved to die and that she didn't cherish her life. More and more people said this, and many people believed it. Everyone thought that the original host deliberately got hit by a car. Even Jiang Yandong believed it. The guilt in his heart lessened until it was almost gone. In the end, he felt at ease and got together with Xiao Lian. The original host became a passerby in his life. Later, he and Xiao Lian went through a lot and had long forgotten that there was a girl who lost her life for him. In his heart, that girl was no longer clean. She was just like what people said, a person with evil intentions. After Tanghua finished reading, she fell silent for a while before saying, when she left the esports club that day, she actually planned to go to the cake shop to buy dessert. She said that eating dessert would make her feel better. The system asked weakly. The host's voice was very calm. He couldn't tell whether she was happy or angry. But intuition told him that she was definitely unhappy. In the end, no matter who Jiang Yandong was or what responsibilities he shouldered, he had cheated on her, and he had done it openly. He remembered that in the plot, there were several times when the original host went to look for Jiang Yandong in the club. She met him hugging Xiao Lian and kissing her. The people around her just kept silent. No one reminded her. Presumably, in the eyes of those people, the original host wasn't good enough for Jiang Yandong. There were also some scenes where Xiao Lian climbed over the villa to look for Jiang Yandong in the middle of the night. Although under normal circumstances, the two of them would fight as soon as they met, there would always be some ambiguity in the end. Actually, when he thought about it, his worldview was a little ruined. He obviously had a fiancée, but he didn't know how to keep a distance from her. If he kept flirting with her, wouldn't he be a scumbag? Jiang Yandong didn't dare to break up with the original owner because he felt guilty. Then why did he dare to openly flirt with Xiao Lian? In fact, in the club, he didn't even try to hide his feelings for Xiao Lian from the others. She was even jealous of the second, third, and fourth male leads. What kind of position did he place the fiancé of the original host? Therefore, he was a piece of trash. The system carefully suggested. There's no hurry. It doesn't matter whether I'm cured or not. Hearing this, the system's heart skipped a beat. Not treating the eyes meant that the host was very angry. If she wanted to treat her eyes, the great host would definitely not be that angry. Forget it. Seeing or not seeing with the naked eye wouldn't affect the host too much. Even if the host wasn't willing to activate the heaven's eye, there was still the system, wasn't there? With him around, nothing would happen to the host. Based on the medical standards of this world, there's no way to cure my eyes in the next few decades. Tongzi, don't forget what my parents do. If my eyes could be cured, they would have sent me abroad for treatment. Peak. Chapter 1950. What's the date today? The 8th. The system no longer tried to persuade Tanghua to treat her eyes. If the host was willing to be blind, then so be it. Maybe in the future when she's happy, she'll be willing. After replying, he helped Tanghua report her safety to her friends in the group as usual, and told them about this world. Seeing the group's friends indignantly discussing this world, the system let out a sigh of relief. So many people cared about the host, she definitely wouldn't be too angry. There's still about 10 days before Xiao Lian comes to the villa to steal things. Tanghua frowned and thought for a moment. In today's legal society, it's illegal to break into private property and steal things. For this kind of thief, the right thing to do is to call the police and send her to the police station for tea, where she can receive proper guidance and education. Under the system's trembling program, he heard Tanghua's words, in the future, every time she comes, I'll send her to the police station. System, allow him to observe a moment of silence for Xiao Lian. She better not take anything too expensive. If it's more than 2,000 yuan, she'll be sentenced. Tanghua pursed her lips and said with a smile. Her voice was very pleasant, gentle and pleasant to the ear. That smile made the whole villa fall into a frozen state, as if it was the 12th lunar month, freezing people. Because the original owner's parents were very busy, they didn't even come home twice a year. Even though the original owner's house was next door, for convenience, Jiang Yandong still brought her to the Jiang villa. The original owner liked Jiang Yandong so much, she definitely wouldn't refuse and wanted to be closer to him. In fact, it wasn't that close. Jiang Yandong was very busy, he had to go to school and go to the club. It was only at night that they could see each other. Madame Chen was the villa's helper. She took care of Tangua's daily needs. If she had any needs, she would ask Madame Chen to do it. Madame Chen's house wasn't far from here. Under normal circumstances, she would come to clean the villa and help the original owner cook. If the original owner needed anything, she would call her. Today's mobile phones were very smart. You only needed to say, "Call Madame Chen," and the number would be dialed. Under normal circumstances, voice was enough to satisfy the blind original owner's needs. "Miss Xiaogua, how can I help you?" Tanggua said, "Madame Chen, I haven't been sleeping well lately. I keep having the feeling that someone will climb into the villa. Help me find some people to strengthen the security of the villa. You won't understand even if I explain it this way. First, find the security personnel for me. I'll tell them what I need." "Okay, Miss Xiaogua, I'll help you find him right away." An hour later, Madame Chen arrived with the person in charge of security. Tanggua sat on the sofa. "Please help me strengthen the defense of the villa, especially the courtyard walls. Install more electric fences to prevent thieves. It would be best if it could be controlled by AI. You know that I can't see. Voice control would be the best. By the way, I also need a self-defense stun baton. Recently, I've been feeling that someone wants to enter the villa. I can't see. I don't think anywhere is safe." Tanggua's words made Madame Chen and the security personnel feel a little sad. The security personnel said that he would definitely follow her request and properly set up the villa's security. He would make sure that if the thief climbed in, he wouldn't be able to get out. Tanggua's smile was especially beautiful. She nodded and said, "Yes, the kind where the thief can enter but can't get out." "Sorry to trouble you, Master. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.